It is playoff time. We have finally made, well, maybe not finally made it, because we were just in playoff time not too long ago. I think it was October when the Lakers beat the Heat in the last NBA Finals. But we have made it 2021 NBA playoffs. We're here. We're here. And a little wrinkle thrown in this year as we have the play-in games. But before we get to the playoff preview, we're going to take a look at my all-NBA first, second, and third team. Some awards thrown in there, too. I really want the focus to be the playoffs, but we got to handle the regular season, too. So let's dive right into it, if this thing will let me. All right, so third team. That's where we're going to start things off. We're going to work our way up. All right, third team right here. We're going to start with the guards, and this was tough to me. There were a lot of guards that could have gone here, didn't end up getting the spot. So we're going to start this off with the number 2 scorer in all of the NBA. That's Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards. He had a lot of competition for this spot, but ultimately ended up going with the guy that averaged over 30 points a game, nearly beat out Stephen Curry for the scoring title. Russell Westbrook was somebody that could have gone here, as well as I think he might have been a little bit more of a catalyst of the Wizards actually being a playoff contender, but nonetheless, I'm going Bradley Beal as the third teamer, one of the best pure scorers in the entire NBA. He makes my third team for the second straight season. Next up, we have Kyrie Irving. Again, this could have been Devin Booker, Ben Simmons, Westbrook, but I'm going to go with Kyrie Irving. His other two Nets co-stars, Kevin Durant and James Harden, didn't play enough games to get on this list, but Kyrie Irving, believe it or not, he was one of the consistent guys on the court this year, over 25 points a game for the Nets point guard, and I got to give it up to Kyrie Irving. He had a really good season, and hopefully he's found a home in Brooklyn. Next, we have the forwards, and this was a little bit easier for me. We start off with Julius Randle of the New York Knicks, my guy here saving the New York Knicks. Also the most improved player in the NBA this year by far. Nobody expected him to be in this kind of position this season. I think the MVP talk is a little bit ridiculous. I know New York fans want to get excited. I'm excited. There's no reason not to be. But at the same time, third team, I mean, you see the guys that are on the second team, and they just had a better season. But Randall definitely deserving, carried the New York Knicks to a playoff berth. Team that's not going to be in the playoffs, but this player was impressive nonetheless, and that is Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. One of the most dominant seasons around the rim that we have seen in quite some time. His other teammates didn't quite live up to expectations, but Zion Williamson continuing to meet, if not exceed them. And then a bit of a controversial pick for me for third team center. Also my defensive player of the year, that's Rudy Gobert. I know most pundits out there had him as the second team center. I have him as third. It was really close though, but yeah, defensively this guy was just a monster, but just a little bit behind my second team guy, and we'll go ahead and get into that right now. My second team center was Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. I think he had an incredibly underrated season and is one of the most rapidly improving players in the NBA. His scoring's gotten a lot better, as has his defense, getting a little bit more range as well. Got to go Bam Adebayo there. Second team forwards. Let's go with his teammate, those nice pink jerseys. Jimmy Butler. If he got first team, I would not be upset with that. Jimmy Butler is playing the best basketball of his career right now for the Miami Heat. I just wonder what the Sixers would have been if they held on to him instead of Tobias Harris, but Jimmy Butler definitely deserving of this. He's a huge reason why the Miami Heat, they started off a bit slow, but they're a 6 seed and a dangerous 6 seed at that because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo have rose to the challenge. Another second teamer here is Kawhi Leonard. Didn't have the first team type of season that we've grown accustomed to, but Kawhi Leonard still playing incredible basketball. Still one of the best defenders in the NBA. Have to give him second team here. Second team guards. We've got Chris Paul. The MVP talk of this guy is ridiculous. I don't get it at all. He doesn't even average 20 points, but he is still having a tremendous impact on the Phoenix Suns. You can credit Devin Booker, Monty Williams, whoever you want, the growth of Mikal Bridges, but Chris Paul coming in and being a true point guard for Phoenix is the number one reason why the Suns are in the position they are in. That is worthy of being second team, almost all on its lonesome, but he's played tremendous basketball. And first team, not close, but second team, definitely Chris Paul right here. This was close, though. I almost put this man on first team, and that's Luka Doncic. I expect him to be first team when this whole thing comes out. I think he'll beat the guy I have for first team guard. Luka Doncic, the face of the Dallas Mavericks, not quite as dominant as he was last season. I really hope they get more out of Kristaps Porzingis in the postseason, and Luka Doncic doesn't have to carry this whole thing by himself. But nonetheless, Luka just dominant once again. All right, let's get to the first team now. And this is not just going to be my first team, but this is also going to double as my MVP rankings, I guess you could say. Some years, a guy on the second team is higher than the guy on the first team just because of positions. And I did kind of have to fiddle around with it this year because I just can't justify leaving this particular person off the first team. And we'll get to him. But fifth place, MVP voting. That is this young man right here. Damien Lillard of the Portland Trailblazers. What more can you say out of this guy? He is maybe, well, he would be the best shooter in the NBA if there wasn't a certain other guy shooting the ball right now. 28.8 points per game, 7.5 assists. It's one of his, I don't want to say one of his, well, actually it's one of his best shooting seasons, but last year he was just on such a tear, shooting over 40% from three. He's at 39% this year, 92% from the free throw line. Damian Lillard playing some of the best basketball of his career. Stop disrespecting the guy just because he plays on a team that hasn't quite been at the levels of some of the other superstars of his generation, because Damian Lillard is indeed a superstar. Number 4, this man right here, Giannis Antetokounmpo. You can't say this was a disappointing season for him, but he was a 2-time MVP winner. So maybe a little bit less dominant than he had been in years past, but still 28 points a game, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. The Milwaukee Bucks are not the favorite in the Eastern Conference this year, and maybe the Bucks will, maybe they'll benefit from not having those expectations on them. I don't know. But despite all of that, Giannis Antetokounmpo having a great season so far, and here's to hoping that he can produce in the postseason, because I know we'd all really like to see him go far in the playoffs. I know I would. Number 3 in MVP voting. I keep saying MVP. MVP. And this was close. 3 and 2, I think, are really close. But my number 3, and I couldn't justify keeping this guy off of the first team just because there was another center there. I have to go Joel Embiid. And if you made a case that he was second, I would listen to that. I think there's a good case to be made. And for most of the season, he probably was in second place. 28 points a game, 10 rebounds. Joel Embiid, this is the best basketball we've ever seen Joel Embiid play. I really like the way that he's been dominant. He's been dominant in the paint his entire career, but this year I think he's been taking more of a liking to being in the paint, and I hope that continues in the postseason. This guy has the potential to be the best big man that we have seen in the NBA since Shaquille O'Neal. And Embiid this postseason is going to have a really good chance to solidify his legacy in ways that he hasn't been able to do in the past. I'm tired of hearing about should the Sixers trade Embiid rumors. It's stupid. Why would you do that? Embiid's their cornerstone player, and this year he really got to show that off. Number 2 in MVP voting, Stephen Curry. I know LeBron said that he was the most valuable player in the NBA this season, and dominance towards the end, leading scorer in the entire league, just an absolute blast to watch play. If the Warriors had Klay Thompson, they'd be a much bigger threat to win the whole thing. One of the most dangerous 7 or 8 seeds that we've ever seen in league history. 48% shooting, 42% from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and again, leading the league with 32 points a game. Stephen Curry has people excited. We took his brand of basketball for granted a little bit while he had Kevin Durant. Nobody really liked watching that team because they just dominated everybody and they were easy to hate on. Now that Stephen Curry's more or less doing it by himself, I'm not giving Andrew Wiggins too much credit there. It's been really fun to watch, but the MVP of the 2020-2021 NBA season, you can hate him all you want to because he doesn't look like the MVP, but you know what? This is what peak performance looks like. Get over it. And that's Nikola Jokic. Yes, he looks like he's yawning right there, and maybe he is because the competition has just simply bored him this year. He's carried the Nuggets ever since Jamal Murray got hurt, and even when Murray was healthy, it was the Jokic show. 26 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. He's top 12 in each of those categories, shooting 56% from the field, 38% from 3, and 86% from the free throw line. He is the do-it-all player that every team wants, few teams have. And this is the year that I get to tell Nikola Jokic, congratulations, you've been the best player in the entire league for this particular season. But what does that mean for the playoffs? Well, here's where the fun begins, because we get to talk about the NBA playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry O'Brien trophy is back up for grabs. Is it going to be LeBron's? Is it going to be... They're a 7 or 8 seed. Why am I talking about LeBron first? Most years, we would be talking about LeBron first. Maybe we still should be. But this year, not one of those seasons where you say, first round, I think I'll miss it. I'll skip it. I'll be okay if I don't watch it. Watch everything. Because with the exception of maybe 2 or 3 series in the East, it's all up for grabs. This is going to be fun. Let's dive right in, starting with the play-in games. Tonight, the Eastern Conference, the 7 seed, the Boston Celtics, versus the 8 seed, the Washington Wizards. Winner of that game gets the prize of taking on number 2 Brooklyn, probably getting dismantled. The loser of that game plays the winner of the number 9 Indiana Pacers and number 10 Charlotte Hornets matchup. Winner of that game will take on Philadelphia in the 1-8 game. So tonight, we start things off. Boston and Washington. Bradley Beal expected to play. I know he was a little bit iffy, banged up, said he maybe shouldn't have gone against Charlotte since they were going to be in regardless. He didn't play particularly well, so I don't really think... Yeah, they still needed him, but he wasn't the reason why they won the game. The bench won them that game. Ish Smith, Robin Lopez, Daniel Gafford. They got a lot of contributions off that bench, and Charlotte really faded late. But who do I think wins tonight? Got the Boston Celtics taking down the Washington Wizards. Boston Celtics, their best hope for this entire playoffs, because remember, Jason Tatum, while he didn't make one of my All-NBA teams this year, he is capable of just going off. He would have been fourth team if I had that. If I had fourth team forwards, it would have been Paul George and Jason Tatum. Sabonis could have challenged for that as well. But the key to this team, in my opinion, is Kemba Walker. Lately, really ever since Jaylen Brown got hurt, he's been looking more and more like the Kemba Walker that was there his last year at Charlotte and before he got hurt in Boston. He's been averaging nearly 30 points a game since Jaylen Brown left the lineup. If they have that version of Kemba Walker, Boston could be a really, really tough first-round series for the Brooklyn Nets. No, I'm just kidding. Brooklyn has just about everything, but it could be 6 games of interesting fun. Boston's moves at the trade deadline kind of confused me, and their big men still kind of leave a lot to be desired. But I'm going Boston to beat Washington, and they'll take on Brooklyn. Big news in the 9-10 game tonight between the Indiana Pacers and the Charlotte Hornets. I'm not breaking any news here. This happened about 20-30 minutes ago. But Karis LeVert will not be playing in tonight's game. So the Pacers, they'll be without LeVert. Hornets came out a couple days ago that Gordon Hayward's still not quite there, and he'll miss this game as well. Who do I think win this game? I'm going with LaMelo, and I'm going with Charlotte. I think the Pacers, we've heard about the turmoil all season, and they've kind of just been in, it feels like they've been in neutral this whole time. They've had a lot of injuries. They traded Oladipo. Warren's been out of the lineup. And the Hornets just seem to me like, yes, they've been ravaged by injuries, whether it's Hayward or whether it's LaMelo Ball. Ball's back in the lineup. P.J. Washington, I really look for him to have a big game tonight. Miles Bridges, man, getting him back has been huge for Charlotte. Bridges and Washington, I think, are the X factors for Charlotte tonight. Those are the guys that, if they play really well and Sabonis can't go off, and I don't really think he will, Charlotte, they get to the next round of this thing to take on the Washington Wizards, but I think it ends there, and the Wizards down. The Charlotte Hornets, once again, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal. I just think it's too much for the Charlotte Hornets, and the Wizards, again, that solid bench play. Davis Bertans shooting the ball well. I think it'll be a little bit too much for Charlotte. They're almost there, and maybe with a healthy Gordon Hayward, they would be, but not quite yet. All right, Western Conference. Why the hell is this a play-in game? This is a play-in game in the West. This could be the Western Conference Finals, especially if it was a healthy Warriors team. But it's not, and that's why I have the Lakers getting by Golden State. Lakers haven't been healthy all season. They're about to be one of the most dangerous 7-8 seeds in the history of the NBA. I have them at number 7, and God bless you, Phoenix. You have this great season, the best you've had in a little over a decade. And what's your gift? LeBron and AD in the first round. I'm so sorry. Next game, Spurs, Grizzlies. Got a bit of an upset here. I'm going San Antonio. Memphis in these big game-type moments, they're just a little bit untested to me. When I've seen Ja Morant in those scenarios, hasn't quite been his best stuff. I'll take DeMar DeRozan. Yes, the Raptors won the title after they traded him away, but he's still been in some of these moments, and I trust him a little bit more than I do Ja Morant in this particular scenario. However, I do not trust him more than Stephen Curry. No way in hell. No way in any form of hell. The Warriors are making the playoffs if Stephen Curry has to drag them with 62 points to do it. The Warriors get the 8 seed, and they get the Utah Jazz. Congratulations, Utah. You've had one of your, probably your best season since the Karl Malone, John Stockton era. What's your gift? Stephen Curry in the first round. God, the NBA gods are just, they're cruel. They're really, really cruel. Let's look at the Eastern Conference Finals first round in just a second. I'll give you the first game here because, duh. All right, so Sixers and Wizards. Would anybody really be surprised if the Sixers got a sweep here? I'm not going to go with the sweep because Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, those are guys that can put up good points, and one of them's just going to go off in one of these games. The Sixers are a loaded team defensively, so I could see Russell Westbrook really having a lot of trouble, and if Bradley Beal's banged up, maybe this could be a sweep. But I'll take the Sixers in 5 games. Next up, Brooklyn, Boston. Yeah, I can't. Nets in 5. I just can't. The Nets are too loaded. I know all the concerns about defense, the concerns about they haven't played together very much. I don't really think that's going to be much of a... It's not going to be much of an obstacle in this particular round. The only thing that can really help Boston is, one, if Jaylen Brown clings to life, which, he's out for the season. Kemba Walker regains his Charlotte form. That's very well possible. He's been playing like it lately, but Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum versus 3 of the best players in basketball right now and a loaded bench. Nah, give me Brooklyn and give them to me in 5. Next up, this has the potential to be a heartbreaker, and if Mike Budenholzer doesn't... What do Mike Budenholzer and a guy on the street with his thumbs up have in common? They'll be the same guy if the Miami Heat win this series. I don't think it's going to happen, though. And this guy is the reason why. I think Drew Holiday, the Bucks and the Heat were kind of in competition for who was going to make the trade to get him from New Orleans. The Bucks got it done, and I think that's really going to help out Milwaukee in the postseason here. Holiday, a postseason killer. At least when we saw him against Damien Lillard in Portland. That was the last time that I saw him on the court in the playoffs, and I was really impressed with what he was able to do, not just defensively, but offensively. Bucks over Heat in 7. If the Heat make it out of this round, which is not implausible, they could cause some damage. They could cause some damage. Again, theme of this whole playoffs right here. Don't look at teams based on the number next to their name. Look at the talent. Usually that's not the case in the NBA, but you can't just dismiss a 7, a 6, or an 8 seed this year. That would be a big mistake. Don't look at the number. Look at the team. Oh, yes. Oh, just let me savor this moment for a second. It's been a long-ass time. It has been a long time. Yeah, I talked about the basketball gods being cruel earlier. Ah, yes, Julius Randle, putting all his might into passing that ball. Show those muscles, Julius. New York Knicks over the Atlanta Hawks in 6. These two teams have a very contrasting style of play. The New York Knicks just locking down defensively. The Atlanta Hawks, not so much. These two coaches, by the way, Tom Thibodeau is my coach of the year in the NBA. Between him, Monty Williams, and Nate McMillan better get some damn credit for the turnaround he's done in Atlanta this season. But I go with the Knicks. Derrick Rose off the bench. Nerlens Noel is just the rim protector from hell. Yeah, I'm going with the Knicks here. Give them to me in 6 games. This will be a fun series, but yeah, I'm going with the Knicks. Let's move to the Western Conference. 1-8 games don't usually go 7. That's a rarity. It's even more rarity for the 8 seed to win. But the Warriors, they've done it before. But I don't have them doing it again. I think the Jazz get this win, and I think they get it in 7 games over the Golden State Warriors. Just because, Steph, and he's going to Steph. We know what he is. But Utah has depth, man. Bogdanovich went for 582 the other night? And he's like their 7th option. Jordan Clarkson, 6th man of the year. Mike Conley, was he an all-star this year? He should have been. Donovan Mitchell, if he's healthy, he's gold. Rudy Gobert, best defensive player in the NBA right now. Yeah, give me the Utah Jazz. Golden State Warriors are good, but I think they're the Jazz are the better team. Golden State has the better player. So take everything that I just said and don't really apply it. Well, depends on what you think about this. I have the Lakers beating the Suns, and I think they do it in 5. Andre Drummond there, I think, is going to turn DeAndre Ayton into a baby. This is going to be a series where, get ready for the think pieces of DeAndre Ayton is softer than baby shit. Get ready for that. I like DeAndre Ayton. I think he's a very good player, but he's going to have 48 minutes in hell every game with Anthony Davis, Andre Drummond, and Montrezl Harrell. Give me I haven't even mentioned LeBron James is healthy. Didn't even mention that. Or Dennis Schroeder. Didn't even mention that. The Suns have improved a ton, and they have to be commended for the season that they had. However, the luck of the draw ain't so lucky in Phoenix this year, and I'm going with the Lakers. Next series. Again, don't look at the number next to the name. I'm going the Trailblazers over the Nuggets in 7. I think if Jamal Murray was healthy for this series, I would have swung it the other way. But Jamal Murray tore his ACL about a month or so ago. He's out for the postseason. The Nuggets, Monte Morris he's a cool guy. Aaron Gordon is an improvement over Paul Millsap in this stage of his career. But the Blazers still have Lillard, McCollum, Melo looking for revenge against his old team, the Nuggets. Nurkic is healthy. Give me Portland. I think it's going to be a fun series, but give him to me in 7. Jokic, he's going to have to carry the squad. He can do it. Again, don't put it past Denver winning this series. This is a coin flip type of thing, but when there's a coin in the air, I like to pick Damien Lillard. No matter what's on the other side of that coin. Next up, the 4-5 series. This might be the one that everybody feels the best about. That's not how 4-5 series are supposed to work. They're supposed to be the ones that we're like, man, I don't know. They're supposed to be like the 8-9 game in the NCAA tournament, not the 1-16 game. Well, it's not quite the 1-16, but I'm still taking the Clippers over the Mavericks. And I think it's going to go 6 games. I've seen people say this is going to be a clean sweep. No. Do you remember this series last year? Porzingis got ejected game 1, and everybody says they're done, and they show a little bit of life. Luka hits that game winner. They gave him some trouble. But I think the Clippers are more focused this time around. Paul George is playing much better than he did last year. Then again, I played better than he did in the bubble. So take that for what it's worth. But yeah, Clippers in 6. Back to the Eastern Conference in the second round. Don't do it to me. You know what? It's nice to be here. It's fun. It's great. But I know what it is. Get your brooms out. I know what it is. The Knicks, the advantage they'll have over a lot of teams is, they'll D up. They'll D up. Yeah, the Sixers are going to do the same thing, and they have more talent, and this series will not be fun. It won't be fun at all. Sixers make the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since they started trusting the process. Might surprise some people here. I got the Bucks over the Nets, and I got them in 7 games. This is going to be an extremely fun series. The Nets, we've talked about the defense and how it's not particularly good. Drew Holiday against Kyrie or James Harden, I like that matchup a lot. But the Nets, the chemistry, the fact that they haven't played a whole lot of games together, I think it kind of rears its ugly head here against a team like Milwaukee, which can frustrate you with its physicality and its defense. Yeah, I'm going to go Milwaukee. Surprised me too. The Brooklyn Nets are the quote-unquote favorite to win the whole thing. And it's interesting, in a year when a 2 seed, where the best players haven't played together very much, it's the favorite. That tells you a lot about this postseason and why it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Budenholzer might need to win this series to keep his job too. He might need to win. He might need to go to the finals to keep his job. They are frustrated in Milwaukee. So I hope for the best for him, but we'll see. It's a tough road to go down for sure. Western Conference. Utah had you getting past Golden State Warriors. It ain't happening again. I'm going to give you Kawhi Leonard looking like an angry piranha right there. Taking down the Utah Jazz in 6 games. This one just comes down to Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. I don't think Utah is really going to defend those guys particularly well. There's not a big post presence that Rudy Gobert is going to have a lot of an impact on, and I think they'll be able to take care of the perimeter guys on Utah. So give me the Clippers in 6 games. Next up, you know how I said that if there's a coin flip, I'm going to go towards Damien Lillard? Yeah, I think I lied. I'm going with the Lakers over the Trailblazers in 6 games here. It's going to be closer than it was last season. I'll tell you that. It'll be closer than it was last year. But Anthony Davis. Well, I just don't think Portland has an answer for Anthony Davis. We'll see what happens, but this is going to be the Anthony Davis series as we get an LA Western Conference Finals. I told you it wouldn't happen last year. I had Denver getting to it, and I was right. This year, I feel so much less confident than I did about that pick. You can just pick names out of a hat, and you might have better luck than somebody actually picking them based on what they've seen this season. Who the hell knows? The Western Conference, man, it's giving me trouble. I don't feel good about this at all. And in the Eastern Conference, I do feel good about my Eastern Conference champion, which means they're not going to win the Eastern Conference because I felt good about the Bucks. I think the last 2 seasons, and I'm not picking the Bucks this year, so they're going to win. I'm picking the Philadelphia 76ers over Milwaukee in 6 games. Joel Embiid is going to assert his dominance this series. Going to be a legendary one for him. That's my prediction. Could be dead-ass wrong. Probably will be dead-ass wrong. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's my prediction. Sixers over the Bucks, 6 games. That's what I got. The Sixers, they trust the process. They trust Doc Rivers and trust in the fact that Philly is going to be making it to the NBA Finals. Who's going to be waiting for them? The baddest man in the NBA, LeBron James, over the Clippers in 6. So it's not just LeBron James over the Clippers in 6, but the Lakers over the Clippers in 6. Because this is going to be a team effort here. You're going to need the Horton Tuckers or the Kuzmas to come off the bench and give you a little bit of something from time to time. And I think they'll be able to get it. Lakers, Clippers, you know what LA team's advancing, but I'll take the LA team with LeBron James on it. I think it's a safer bet. Yeah, the safe bet's the 7 seed. Could even be the 8 seed. That's this NBA postseason for you. Buckle up. It's going to be a fun one. Who wins the finals? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I'll pick it. Yeah, I got Philly. I think this is the year that the Sixers put it all together. At least it looked that way when I watched them this season. The defense was there. The offense was there. The Joel Embiid was there. The tenacity was there, that's for sure. And the Sixers, the process, you trusted it. You trusted the damn process. And look what it got you. A projected title by me, which means it didn't get you any. Well, that might not be true. I picked the Lakers to win last year, along with like everybody else. So I'm not really that special. In years past, I've definitely got it wrong. So Sixers fans, congratulations. You ain't won a damn thing yet, but I think you will. And that should certainly be enough. We got the play-in games tonight in the Eastern Conference, everybody. But I watched the NHL last night. That's how starved I was for playoff action. Let me tell you, I actually really liked what I saw. That was the even more surprising thing. I watched Bruins Capitals, and that was an intense game. Went to overtime. Bruins get the win. That was a really fun game to watch. So that might have me, looking towards hockey just a little bit when the NBA games aren't quite as interesting. We have the play-in games tonight. The NBA playoffs. We are here. There's fans in the arena. it's starting to feel a little bit like Christmas. And by Christmas, I mean normality. You better be watching tonight. This is going to be fun. I'm going to be talking about it all week. Again, I think that Boston and Charlotte get the win tonight. We'll see what happens. Should be fun. You guys have an excellent, excellent day. I'll talk to you real soon.